All right, go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining the Q2 2021 Embedded Analytics User Group meeting. I'm going to have a pretty good set of content today with a customer showcase, a roadmap review from Tableau on where we're going longer term with the embedded analytics features that we're all particularly interested in, and then we'll be looking at natural language generation and how that can add value in the embedded analytics space, which I think should be very interesting. Definitely a new and different way of looking at things. So just quick intro topic. Tentatively, the next meeting will be August 14th, still working through what the content of that meeting will be. So if you're interested in presenting a use case, whether that's more just focus on what you've done with embedded analytics or something that's more technical, we would be happy to have some participation. You can use the user group forum in the Tableau website. You can tap something as chat, send your contact information in a chat to me or Bob or all of the panelists, and we'd be happy to follow up with that. The way we make these meetings interesting and useful to the group is to have the group participate. So we'd really love to have some volunteers to help get all of that stuff set up. So I think that's kind of all of the intro stuff, and we can go ahead and get started with the content. So Bob, if you want to introduce Maddie and get started, that'd be great.
Sure. First of all, thanks everyone for attending. We really do appreciate the time that you're taking to see some of this. And this morning, I'd like to introduce an SCDC member and a personal friend of mine, Mattelyn Arthur from Southwest Electric in Missouri. She had an opportunity to work directly with my team in terms of developing a solution for an electric utility. And so she's going to tell you about that. So without further ado, Maddie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Get all situated. Okay. As Bob said, my name is Mattelyn Arthur. I am a data analyst for Southwest Electric Cooperative in Missouri. And we have the privilege of using a report that SCDC built, which is High Bill Detection Dashboard. And this has been a great help for us at Southwest. So today I have the opportunity to share that with you. Oops. There we go. All right, so I'll start with a little background about Southwest Electric to give context to the report and how we're using it. We provide electricity to members in Southwest Missouri. Missouri is a three-tiered system. We work together with other cooperatives in the state to deliver affordable, reliable, and safe energy to our members. So first, that electricity is generated by Associated Electric Cooperative. And then that electricity is transmitted from Associated to KMO and Show Me Power. And lastly, that electricity is distributed by us to our members. We're a bit unique in the utility world as a cooperative. Cooperatives were created to serve rural areas. We're owned by those we serve, and for this reason, we place a high importance on going above and beyond for our members. Southwest Electric was founded just over 80 years ago. In fact, we still have members who remember when the lights first came on. We serve over 42,000 meters with about 80 employees across 4 offices. We have one of the highest meter to employee ratios in the state, serving on average about 200 more meters per employee than other cooperatives in Missouri. So because of this, not only do we place a high importance on serving our members well, but we also must do this very efficiently. Southwest Electric is a member of SEDC. Now, SEDC is also a cooperative, but instead of focusing on providing electricity, SEDC's focus is on providing software solutions to utilities. SEDC has been a key partner in providing solutions that help us better serve our members. Each month, we communicate to our members via their monthly bill. This lets them know how much they have used over the previous 30 days and what they owe us for that usage. We provide electricity for multiple types of services: primary residences, vacation or second homes, businesses, and farms. We serve at least parts of 4 large lakes, one of those being Lake of the Ozarks, if you're familiar with the area. We have members from across the country that have second homes here. Often though, these second homes are only visited a couple weekends every year, and during the summer months, and rarely through the winter. Time between visits can span days, weeks, and even months. If a member has a burst pipe or their heater is set too high, that member might not even realize that there is an issue until they receive their next bill. And even at members' primary residence, they might not realize how much it's costing them to keep their home at a comfortable temperature. Does anyone else remember their first electric bill? When I first moved out, I thought it was okay to keep my home at 80 degrees in the winter and 60 in the summer. And after receiving my electric bill, I definitely learned that that is not okay if I want an affordable bill. So members might not even realize at their primary residence what they're using. But beyond things like their thermostat, they might not realize that there's a leak under their house, or they may have forgotten a heater in their well house, causing their daily usage to double or triple or worse. What's exciting though is that we have the data. We have a meter at every location, and it communicates back to SEDC software and reports the meter reading every hour, every day. So SEDC created a perfect solution for us with the high bill detection dashboard created in Tableau. With this dashboard, SEDC has enabled us to change our member service posture from reactive to proactive. We average around 30 high bill complaint service orders every year. Now, these are just the calls that actually make it to a service order. This isn't including the members who have a high bill complaint, but never actually call us to complain. A post-pay member would go through his or her cycle, receive a bill, and then pay. However, if some variable caused the member's bill to abnormally trend upward, the high bill detection dashboard can identify those members within a few days. With this dashboard and with the help of Snowflake, SEDC has taken over millions of rows of data and turned it into actionable insight. Yet, with this dashboard, we can comb through and identify high priority issues. Each day, this takes me about 5 minutes or less to review. When the issues are identified, member service has an opportunity to reach out and make their members aware of a potential problem. This can be spotted within a day or two of the usage spiking. Knowing quickly after the problem occurs instead of waiting for the next bill cycle gives members time to resolve the issue before receiving that unexpected large bill. As a cooperative, this is particularly helpful when delivering top-notch service. In my experience, members are extremely appreciative that we aren't just trying to make money, but that we truly want to be a resource and benefit to our members. And beyond just making the members aware of the potential problem, it also gives us an opportunity to engage with the member. Remind them that we are a cooperative and why that is important and beneficial to them. We can also explain their bill in ways to reduce usage if that's their desire. And this is a chance to share programs that educate members on how to make their homes more energy efficient. We even pay and let them know that we even pay a portion of those fixes in some cases. Identifying the problem sooner also gives the member the opportunity to correct the issue before it has a greater effect on their bill. So you might be surprised to know that we are a unique business model. How many other businesses actually encourage their customers, or in our case, our members, to spend less with their business? Our members are our neighbors. They're our member owners. We want to treat them well. We want to serve them well. So we've identified the problem. SCDC has created the solution and we have the data to utilize it. Now we have actionable insight to preempt high bills and member frustration. Let's actually look at the report now. On the left-hand side, there is the meter number, the member name, which we have covered for member privacy, and the total kilowatt hours, which if you're not familiar with the industry, that's how we measure our members' usage in kilowatt hours for comparison. So the bulk of the report is daily usage. So you can see to the right, the bottom right, where we've got a lot of shaded blue and there's a little bit of orange. That's each member's daily usage. So each row is a member, and then for each day, and the rolling 30 days is shown. The application of a color gradient when normal consumption patterns deviate allows us to visually discern where trending will lead to a potential high bill. The performance envelope allows us to overlay multiple moving average calculations. This can be reviewed in less time than it would take to answer a high bill complaint call or to send the trucks if that's what it took. The color allows me to quickly identify the size and the scale of the difference. This dashboard makes it possible to apply a lot of math against a lot of data, but in a very little time. It is very evident that the line with the dark red orange to the right, so if you look to the right, a few rows down, you see where it gets got shades of blue and then it gets darker red, orange to the right. So you can see that member had typical normal usage and then that usage spiked. That tells me maybe we need to contact that member, see what's going on, see if there is a problem, if that usage is something that the member expected. Now, a couple rows down, you'll see that there was a member who had typical usage. That row is blue. And as you move to the right to the more recent days, it turns orange and then back to blue. That tells me the member had an issue, their usage spiked, but then it's come back down to what we would expect or more normal usage. Hovering over each day for each member, so for each day, for each of those cells, a variation of the blue, for each member shows a tooltip which includes member and billing information, their last bill amount for comparison, the account number to look up in the software, meter qualifiers, and parameter information. It also includes a spark line for that meter to view usage on a graph without necessarily needing to look it up in the software. The report can also be limited by district, county, city, service type, substation, and billing cycle, among other ways that we classify accounts internally. With the software, it even makes it easy for me to break that down to review, but also should this, even though this is really easy for me to review in 5 minutes, should we decide, okay, each district is in charge of looking at their own accounts, it would make it very easy to do so because those filters are already in place. So let's take a look at this whole report as one whole piece. This is a sample of the embedded dashboard with the names redacted. You can see how the use of visuals helps us when we have a lot of data to consume. SCDC also allows us to customize these dashboards if we'd like. The data in the lower left is consumption over time with a moving average and weather. The use of color here is meant to help us easily see where we may have a member issue. Now, let's check in under the hood. With the high bill detection dashboard, we can overlay different calculations to detect abnormal fluctuations. For example, you might select a calculation to look at the usage 5 days back and 3 days forward, and that calculation might paint a different picture than just looking 10 days backward. This report uses computations that look at a number of incidents over a period of time to highlight a potential problem. There are actually a number of different computations that can be selected by parameters that help find real-world issues. In the case of metering, the incidents are a divergence from normal consumption with a weather bias built in. If we see movement that correlates to higher degree days, we can attribute those changes to weather patterns. But when these incidents occur outside of temperature variables, that might paint out a different problem. So speaking of weather, in our industry, nearly all residential usage is related to the weather. When the weather is extremely cold or hot, the usage for most households will increase. When the weather is more comfortable, the usage is typically less. Of course, other factors play into usage, like if the member is home more or what appliances are being used. For many members who work through the week, we typically see their usage, at least pre-pandemic when they were leaving the house through the week, increase on weekends when they're home and trying to get some chores done, but they are gone through the week while working. The high bill detection dashboard helps us sift through what is to be expected and the weather and normal fluctuations versus what truly might actually be a problem. A member using a few extra kilowatt hours on a Saturday because they ran the dishwasher and the vacuum and the dryer all at the same time isn't a concern, but if the member's usage has tripled, maybe we need to check in with that member and make sure that everything's okay, or maybe explain what could cause high usage. One unit of measurement we rely heavily on in our industry is degree days. So the National Weather Service explains, degree days are based on the assumption that when the outside temperature is 65 degrees, we don't need heating or cooling to be comfortable. So we have heating degree days and cooling degree days, and basically you take the temperature outside and find the difference between that and the 65 degrees and just determine what you need to get to that 65 degrees, a comfortable point. And that will determine your heating degree days or your cooling degree days, whether you're heating to get to that point or cooling to get to that comfortable 65 degrees. If a member follows the same pattern using the same appliances for the same length of time and has their thermostat set at the same temperature, the usage between 2 days can still vary. This is particularly true where in Missouri, where in February we saw a high of 71 degrees and a low of -15. Definitely some big temperature swings, and that weather plays such a big role in determining the member's usage. You receive a much deeper end user experience with high bill detection dashboard. Notice how easy it is to see the consumption pattern is directly correlated to the temperature changes. You can see on the graph shown that green is a rolling average to smooth the model. This usage pattern is not consistent with the problem. It is actually a pattern that is to be expected. Now, even during the polar vortex in February when it was so darn cold, I could pinpoint the meters that had unusually high usage beyond the extra usage just due to the extremely cold temperatures. This was particularly helpful for our members that do live out of state because it was so cold and so many of our members were dealing with burst pipes. Now, it's not our responsibility to check on these things or to notify our members, but it's just another way we can go a step beyond and use this high bill detection dashboard to benefit our members. The key point is that if you try to consume vast amounts of crosstab data, like you see at the top, you won't really understand what the data is truly telling you. Imagine trying to go through millions of rows of data just like that every single day. There's no way that would be useful. Instead, take a look at the graph below. Do you notice the spike in the middle on March 19th? How much easier and quicker could you identify that spike in comparison to the crosstab above? Because we are visual creatures and the human brain is adept at pattern recognition, member service representatives and others can move through accounts that have large deviations from normal usage to quickly evaluate whether member outreach is needed. This enhances our relationship with the member and leverages the strength of the Tableau platform. And with Snowflake, we can make better use of the enormous investment in metering data that we have made through the years. Now let's take a look at these on a map. The high bill detection dashboard provides a geospatial reference to the result set. This can be helpful because clustering might reveal additional insight. Are there problems that are specific to a certain area? Notice that through the use of color, we can weight the priority of what we're seeing. By utilizing multiple techniques to view the data, the likelihood of revealing additional insight becomes much greater. So in this instance, it is starting to warm up, summertime, everybody is headed to the lake. So when we plot these points on a map, I can understand that some of these usages might have spiked because these are the second homes, and the usage might make sense because these members are going to their homes for the first time this year and turning everything on. They're excited to go play in the lake, get supper going. So that usage might make sense. So when plotted on a map, I can see where these homes are in relation to the map. You can see Truman Lake on the left and Lake of the Ozarks on the right. And you can see how those homes are spotted around the lake borders. This can also aid me based on the color, can tell me the severity and the size of the spike. And this can aid me in diagnosing the usage as normal or abnormal and help me in the consideration of whether or not that member needs contacted. Another thing I like about this report is that it is very user-friendly. SCDC took an innovative approach to help users learn what they are looking at. By overlaying a masking layer, they were able to position a user guide on top of the dashboard. This allows for a richer user experience. As a Tableau server administrator, this has also made it very easy for me to get others on board with using this. It's easy to understand. I don't have to explain what every piece does. I was able to simply let the service department know, hey, this report's available. Here's a link to this. Here's why it would benefit you, and turn them loose with it. If any information is forgotten, it's all easily accessible to them. All right, so you've seen the tool chest. Let's take a look at what we have found and fixed with it. One of our first finds with the high bill detection dashboard was a member whose usage spiked from around 100 to 150 kilowatt hours per day to over 300. Now, because we do run lean, we're able to keep our cost per kilowatt hour at a minimum at only 8.5 cents. But at 300 kilowatt hours per day, that still costs the member $25 per day just for usage. That doesn't take long to add up at that rate. This member knew that he had an issue with his heat strips and was working on correcting it, but he had no idea how much his solution in the meantime was costing him. He was extremely appreciative for the heads up. Now, when we call the members and explain, hey, we've noticed a spike in your usage, you might want to take a look at things and see what's causing this, we do let the members know we don't care what you use, but just a heads up so you're not shocked when you see your bill, and you can either make steps to correct it or, if necessary, give some notice so that they can save up for it as well. Now, I mentioned that we do serve a lot of lake properties that are not necessarily the member's primary home. Since members tend to visit these homes primarily in the summer, winter is the perfect time to get work done while they're away. I was very surprised to see 2 different accounts with usage spiking, causing their bill to jump significantly. Since the members were not physically at their residence, they had no control over the temperature of their thermostat or how the contractors were leaving their home. In this case, both members were very appreciative for the heads up. These members' bills had spiked from around $50 a month to nearly $1,000 a month. Now, the reason why it wasn't caught quickly is because we received the high bill detection dashboard right around the time that this problem was occurring. So they had already used the electricity before we had a chance to spot it. In the future, we'll be able to spot it very quickly. The members are going to check with their contractors and make sure the doors and windows weren't being left open. The members both live out of state, so they're very appreciative for the heads up. Also, even at a primary residence, a member had recently started filling up their swimming pool. It's hot, we want to get that water going. And in a matter of days, they had filled their pool and started heating it. Their usage spiked to the highest we had ever seen it. However, the spike was still only about 150 kilowatt hours per day over what their average was. Now, this was spotted on the high bill detection dashboard. However, if we tried to catch this on our typical billing reports, it would have been very easy to miss, because though that was a big jump for that particular member, it wasn't that big of a jump in comparison to other accounts. So the high bill detection dashboard allowed us to catch that for the member. So a member service representative gave the member a call to warn them and let them know let them know what was going on, and we didn't want them to have an unexpectedly large bill. The member was very thankful and had no idea the pool could cost so much per day to heat. The member service representative was able to explain that we also offer text alerts. So at the end of every day, a member can get a text, you've used this much for today, or a high text usage if they use over this threshold, we can text them and let them know. And so the member signed up for that. So this was a great opportunity to take our member service a step further and show them how much we want to serve them and what makes a cooperative different. The high bill detection dashboard helps us catch issues that might not be caught otherwise by members that might not even realize until their next bill, and provides us an opportunity to provide solutions to them, just like in this case where we offer the member our texting service. Since we billed just 2 days before their usage spiked, they could have gone another 30 days with high usage before they even knew. Again, we're moving our member service posture from reactive to proactive. Angela also had an appreciative member from out of state. The member was told that the HVAC unit at their home was repaired on February 13th, but the member was still showing high usage on the 14th. The member was going to investigate. This is another example of a cooperative providing excellent member service. Well, we provide electricity to the home that serves all the appliances or whatever else the member decides they need electricity for. It is not our job to fix anything past the meter. However, if we notice high usage, we can still give the member the notice so that they can coordinate with someone who can fix their issues. This helps the member truly see that we are on their side. We put the members first, and that's not just talk. We've given a few examples of members that benefit from this report because they live out of state. But just like the instance with the pool, even members living at the residence with the high usage, the members might not realize that there's an issue occurring for a number of reasons. In the example here, the water heater could fail and the high bill detection dashboard would find the spike within 72 hours. While the member will still be billed for the high usage for the days until the issue is addressed, it would be substantially less than had the issue gone unnoticed for several further days. We have also had a member in February who accidentally left the door to their heated shop open during the frigid temperatures. Now that member was using 500 kilowatt hours per day. They were literally heating the outside. That equated to about $40 per day. Now, we were able to detect this and notify the member of the potential problem through the high bill detection dashboard, and the member was able to shut that door and get their usage back down before they saw what could have been a substantially higher bill. Now, I want to share the results from a different large utility with you because with their size, they've seen a larger variety of issues. We're a bit smaller, but since February, we have identified, as of yesterday, 16 issues. So we've been able to help a good handful of members through this dashboard. One concern that was addressed by SEDC is, will members feel like we're being intrusive? I've been pleased that all members have been incredibly appreciative. Even if they had already identified issues, even though we were looking at their usage, which we already had, but it just wasn't in a useful format, we were concerned that they might feel a little apprehensive. Instead, members have been very appreciative that we have their back and are trying to save them money and identify the problems for them. These results are clear indicators of the success of the high bill detection dashboard. While our members may never actually see this report, I am confident that they will benefit from it. This is certainly another way that we can take our member service to the next level and provide that top tier service for our members and better serve our member owners. So I want to take a minute and thank SEDC for this report. As I mentioned, I did not create the report, but I certainly have had the pleasure of using it. If you want to learn more about SEDC, here's their contact information. You can also find them across many social media platforms. Also, thank you to Bob at SEDC for the opportunity to share with you all today. It's always a pleasure to share what we're doing at the cooperative and to share about what a cooperative is and how we're trying to help our members. Thank you so much for your time, for listening today. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to contact me. And with that, I will pass it back to Bob.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Mattelyn. That we do appreciate you taking time to sort of share your story with us and certainly helping us on the development. We appreciate that as well.
All right, let's pass it over to the Aria team now and hear what they've got to say.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Bob. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen okay? Yes, good. All right, so I'm Lyndsee Manna. I'm EVP of Business Development and Strategic Partnerships here at Arria. We are proud to work so closely with Tableau and the Tableau team. We've got lots of joint customers that are using our technologies together. So we're going to talk a little bit about adding natural language to your dashboards and to the augmented analytics experience today. And just like Mike, I'm going to move the faces here because they're in my way. There we go. So a little bit very quickly around level setting. What is natural language generation? It is a form of AI. It's intelligence demonstrated by machines, and NLG is a subset of machine intelligence that's focused primarily on enabling knowledge automation. This is the ability for a machine to automate human knowledge, including the ability to decide what to say, when, and why. A machine or a software application powered by NLG is emulating the human's ability to both analyze and then explain data in language so another human can understand the data quickly and then make an intelligent decision. NLG software replicates the human process of analysis, understanding, and communication in seconds, enabling humans to make decisions at accelerated speeds. Natural language generation technology that we use here at Arria combines data analysis, language analytics. This is the math required to say words. When I first started learning about natural language generation, this is what fascinated me so much so that I just had to be a part of this because I never realized how much math I did to say a word or to put together a sentence. And then the logic of the human brain, transforming data into language. This language is indistinguishable from that of a human counterpart. We use things like cognitive linguistics and language models here at Arria to emulate just how a human would put together a sentence. Language, we believe, is the most powerful form of communication, and it's the most effective way to transfer knowledge, like I'm doing right now, from one human to another. This is transferring the power of the human mind to the machine using this software, allowing humans to communicate with data and quickly understand vast amounts of data at machine speed. Aria's partnership and integration with Tableau enables analysts and dashboard creators to leverage embedded NLG technology, empowering decision-making that is turbocharged by visuals and narratives being used together. Augmented analytics allows companies to detect hidden insights, understand data, and with NLG communicate those insights at an accelerated pace. So a little bit, this is probably a quote that's flashed frequently, but a little bit about what Gartner is saying around automating data stories. So they're saying by 2025, and we're seeing this in 2021, but automated data stories with NLG will be the way that humans consume data insights. We believe that in the better together theme. So we believe that together we can really enhance the experience for customers that are using Tableau and Arria. And it's here already. NLG is being used now by many of our joint customers as a way to quickly have data literacy and data understanding across multiple constituents. So this notion of democratizing expertise is really important to us at Arria, because then you can call on the expert knowledge replicated by NLG at any hour. So allowing your current data analysts and scientists to both be more efficient with their use of time, and then they can focus on higher value skill sets instead of spending time explaining their genius to the non-expert, or instead of spending time typing up notes about the slides or typing on PowerPoint slides. Data literacy for us here at Arria is not just about the ability to read and write, but literacy in specific to data refers to being educated in a specific area of knowledge expertise. And we believe that our technology helps democratize that and make it available to any constituent within the organization. Today, Cathy, Herbert on the team is going to showcase demonstrations of how NLG enables intelligent data literacy for business intelligence and why communication in language is critical to empowering the articulate enterprise. Very quickly, how our technology works, it's quite simple. Our NLG architecture is API-based. You can simply think of Aria NLG Studio software as a data processor. Structured data is ingested, processed in cache, and then HTML narrative is generated and delivered to any presentation layer. Upon generation, the cache is flushed. Aria does not store or persist any data or any narrative. So just think of it simply as a data processor. And on the data source side and presentation layer side on this slide, those are just examples. We see our narratives pushed to many different types of presentation layers and lots of different data sources coming in. The typical follow-on question that comes after is, what about deployment? This is really important to Arria customers. Arria offers 3 deployment models for every single product we sell. This includes the Tableau integration. Aria NLG Studio, all of our integrations can be hosted either in our public multi-tenancy environment, an Aria hosted private dedicated environment, or customer hosted behind the customer's firewall with absolutely no callouts whatsoever. This is important as we work with customers in highly sensitive data components that they're working with that cannot leave their infrastructure, whether that's banking, banking and financial services, insurance. We see that a lot, even some very sensitive use cases in pharmaceuticals. So we do have that capability with the integration that we have with Tableau today. So why we see the addition of NLG specifically inside of a lot of dashboards today is really about human knowledge replication. That's at the core of the NLG value stack. The ability for a human to quickly understand massive amounts of data, which I've already said a few times today, in seconds, is really giving your team the power to do more faster. I'm keeping pace here so that there's time for demos. We all have the same problem. So much data and so little time. How can we make sense of it all? Finding the important things and correlating those important things to everything else in the data, and then into a story that explains where to go next. What do I do now? That's the challenge. At Aria, we're focused on humanizing the dashboard by adding language. Visuals are amazing at highlighting what to look at first. For example, I can see a large yellow box here on the screen. And that means the box is important, and that's really great. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that box and drill down into that. But I don't know why. I don't know why that box is yellow, or what attributed to that area. So still, humans have to explain, why did this happen? What caused this to happen? What am I going to do next? What do I do about this? This is where NLG really comes in. NLG is telling you not just about one visual, but how all of those visuals connect to each other, or even something that's not visualized. So if there's something in the data that hasn't been presented in a visual, NLG can explain how that piece of data is correlating to the visuals that you are seeing on your screen. The real story is, for example, in this case, if maybe the data is talking about a product that was sold the most, right? So most product, but that might not be the real story. It might be about the margins of that product. So maybe you sold a lot, but it was because you went negative on your margins or something. And that's a silly example, but that's the real story, not that you sold so much of that product. So maybe we should try to sell more of a product that has higher margins. NLG is delivering the important story in seconds in words you can understand, so you don't have to wonder if you've missed something. Dashboards now don't only show you what's going on in your data, but they're going to tell you why, and they're going to tell you that in words. So in just a few more seconds, I have 2 more slides. You're going to see the NLG integration with Tableau in action. We have 8 simple, easy to use configurable apps that in 3 clicks will deliver written data explanations to your dashboard. I have those here on the screen. You're about to see them in a few minutes. At Aria, we continue to add more apps with every release, which is really exciting. So if there's not an app that you see here on the screen and you want it, put it in the chat and we'll try to get it in there. We also have Aria Answers. So this is an evolving way to interact with your data. Aria Answers is utilizing multiple natural language technologies. We are using natural language understanding in Aria Answers, natural language processing, natural language query, and natural language generation. So lots of NLs there. With Answers, you simply ask your data a question. You can talk it in or type it in, and then you're going to get an answer back in language that you can understand. With natural language query that has NLG responses, you can have a conversation with your data. So on the screen here, you can see we have lots of different query types. This interaction is really for that person that's really looking to uncover things about their data that they might not be able to see. So with that, I think I went pretty fast through those slides, Cathy, so I left plenty of time, and there may be some questions to go into the demo section of our presentation.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. Let me just move my window out of the way where all the pictures are. There we go. Okay, great. So Lyndsee talked about the importance of narrative and the importance of narrative insights. And when you look at Aria's add-in, we have an extension to Tableau that gives us the ability to quickly configure different narratives. And when you're looking at data, you're looking for, what are the insights that really need to be surfaced for me to do something actionable? And I thought Mattelyn did a great job talking about what customers do I need to reach out to? And if you really think about NLG, it can take those data insights, generate an email, and automatically have that ready to go out to your customer or go to customer success so they can personally forward that on. But it's the automation of taking data through its life cycle process and automatically generating language. Lyndsee talked about the different apps that we enable through our extension, and think about them as visualizations that generate narrative. And so some of the key questions you're going to ask about your data: how am I doing over time, right? So in this particular narrative, it's my time-based narrative, and it talks about overall actual sales increased, right, between Q2 and Q3 by 50%. It'll talk about what helped to fuel that increase. It'll also talk about what offset that increase. And so that becomes actionable to me. Here's what helped me grow my number. Here's where I might need to pay more attention if I want to see that number grow faster. So really key concepts, but easily configurable narratives. I have my actual sales versus target sales. My personal favorite from an app that you can easily turn on is what we call the trend app. And the reason I love the trend app is that I can look at a line and I can see how it's growing, but what the trend app will tell you is why and what to actually, what to do about that to make the change. Now, if I go back into, let's go into my some of my narratives that support charts. We have a bar chart narrative that's actually a drill down. So if I'm looking at profit or if I'm looking at actual sales, I might want to know things like what drove those market changes. And so we can see that departmental was my highest performing market. And within that, Karadion had was the most positive outlier. So we're talking about sales data, but I could really be talking about looking for outliers and what actionable insights will that drive if I were looking at a narrative coming out of an energy company to a customer saying that, for this particular customer, month over month, year over year, quarter over quarter, we're seeing an increase on such and such a day. All of the information, like in your dashboard, is filterable. So as I change my date range, it's going to automatically regenerate that narrative to be specific to the filters that I've selected. The configuring of the actual add-in is a very simple process. So as Lyndsee talked about, we have NLG apps, and there are 8 apps. You supply the data, we supply the narrative, and it's easily configurable. We have answers we're going to look at in a minute. But we also have custom narratives. So if after you create a dashboard, you have to create a report that's going into the boardroom or that gets generated every month, how much time are you spending taking that data and combing through it and generating the report? You can build a custom narrative based on the data within your dashboard that now at machine speed, you've got the ability to push a button and just generate it. So you're not writing those reports anymore. You're automatically generating them based on whatever specification you have, much like and following the same process you would go through. So if I'm working with the add-in for Tableau, let me go ahead and log into this. Sorry about that. I must have timed out. What the first thing I'm going to do is go in and configure my app. So as Lyndsee showed you before, there are different application types. So we support descriptive statistics, time-based variance, target-based variance, trend analysis, ranking, pie chart, bar chart, and line chart. I'm going to go ahead and select bar chart. And I had already selected a sheet from the data that I'm going to use. So I'm going to look at actual sales, which is my measure. And you can see if you look within the measure component, I can set an alias, I can give an entity type of currency. So I'm really telling you, we're telling it a little bit about the data. From a market perspective, I'm drilling down by market and then by product. If I want to change the perspective of my narrative, you have the ability to move these around, and that will change the narrative. The next step is to set options, and in this case, I have an option of just talking about the important things or talking about everything. So it really gives me verbosity. So let's go ahead and say, tell me everything. And you can see I'm now going to get a drill down, a deep drill down by product and then by market. So I think we're taking questions. I'm tempted to stop and say, does anyone have any questions before I go into Aria Answers? But maybe I'll just pop into Aria Answers. So in addition to being able to use our apps to write a custom narrative that is purpose-built for your application, we also have Aria Answers, which gives you the ability to, again, select a sheet of underlying data that you want to be able to ask questions about. And let me go ahead and change my time frame here. And so I'll add, we'll be looking at 2019 and 2020. So Aria Answers, much like Ask Data, gives you the ability to ask questions, but we're going to return, rather than a chart or graph, we're going to return a narrative to you. So if you, and here are some samples of the types of questions you might want to ask. Describe profit in Germany for a particular product in 2019 or between 2019 and 2020, right? So we can do all kinds of drill down in the types of questions that you ask. So I can just go ahead and select that, go ahead and select ask, and it's going to come back and it's going to say, you know, my actual sales in 2019 were 177.6 million. If I wanted to start typing a question, sorry about that. Tell me about, and I'm going to type A, and it'll show me that the measures I can use are actual sales. Sometimes if you look at the underlying dashboard, sometimes things aren't named the same way I would ask the question. We've got the ability to set up aliases. So I could say, tell me about this widget, right? We could call this anything we want, but tell me about actual sales and I can look within an entity and know that France is one of the areas I have the ability to interrogate. And it'll go ahead and it'll respond to that question. French actual sales were 43.87 million. And so if I wanted to ask, you know, month over month, year over year, quarter over quarter, variance, target-based variance, right? The difference between actual sales and target sales, we can just continually ask questions and drill further into our data. If I want to clear my conversation, it'll give me a whole new list of questions that I might want to ask, and I will continually get more suggestions on that really show me the types of things I have the ability to ask within Aria Answers. So I am going to stop and see if I have not been watching the chat, Lyndsee.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, I am. So two things. One more thing about answers too is I like that I don't have to do the calculations. So if I need a maximum value, a minimum value, and an average value, looking over any period of time, as you mentioned, I don't actually have to have that, in the data. Aria is going to go ahead and calculate that for me, which I really like. One question that I saw was, how does this relate to the embedded team that we're talking to? I could go ahead and try to answer that in the case that if you're already, and we see customers that have Tableau embedded that are also utilizing Aria's extension. If they have Tableau embedded, they can leverage Aria's integration with Tableau. So if a customer has, white labeled or is using Tableau in that way, they can add this functionality directly to their product or however they've embedded Tableau. But we do have time for some questions, additional questions. Let's see, I'll pop up the Q&A if anyone has them. I see some questions, Bob, about sharing presentations here. We can share our slides as well, if anyone would like them.
Yeah, and we do have a really nice API. So we have a RESTful API that allows you to send data, and we will, as Lyndsee said, return narrative. We also have a full SDK. So the add-in that we're providing on top of Tableau is interchangeable, right? You could plug it into a web interface and have that tying into a backend data set. So we are very open, we're very modular, and it's very easy to integrate Aria with all of different types of apps within your enterprise.
That's a great point, Cathy, because someone might want to add NLG to their dashboard here. As you said, being the modern report writer, somebody might want to, automate a section of a presentation or of a PDF or Word report that they're sending out, or an email or whatever that may be. So I know I did show that slide earlier that had all those different presentation layers, but that is flexible. And we do realize that a lot of these dashboards are powering different methods of communication. So from a virtual digital assistant or a chatbot all the way through to a traditional Word doc and everything in between. So I think what we see is that a lot of our customers are leveraging automated communication, not only in their dashboard, but in other means of communication as well. All right, let's see, a question just came in. We have a little bit of time. Aria Answers scope Tableau data source level, or can it only answer from Tableau dashboards based off filters chosen, is the question.
Yeah, we're working off the filtered data. So if I've filtered to 2020, then it's only going to be looking at the underlying data from 2020. If the filter's been applied to this particular add-in.
But we are pulling in all cases from the underlying data. So of course, if the filter is there, it's going to pull from the filter. If you're unfiltered, the filter wouldn't be applied, and we're pulling from the underlying data. Yeah,
and the part I didn't show you, and I just selected on it, is when you can configure what, again, I've got to log in. You can configure what measures and dimensions you're pulling from the underlying data source. Right, with configure your data, right? So in this case, we're pulling in all of the dimensions and measures that I need to be able to answer the questions for this particular application.
All right, well, Bob, Jeff, I don't see any other open questions for now. We do have a few more minutes. I'm not sure if Mike or anybody else had open questions that they needed to answer live.
I think we got all the questions answered, at least the ones that I've seen, but really good stuff today. Thanks to everybody for being willing to present. I got stuff out of all of the presentations. I always do. So really appreciate you guys being willing to show what you're doing and help out the embedded analytics community.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Definitely some neat stuff today. All right. there aren't any other questions, I think we can go ahead and call it here. Any other housekeeping notes, Jeff?
Yeah, the only other thing, I think we've got August 24 or August 14th tentatively penciled in for the next meeting, but you know, we'll have to see what that how the summer unfolds to see whether that's actually going to be the date or not. But in the absence of other questions, I think we can go ahead and call it just a very few minutes early, but really appreciate all of the people that attended and all of the people that presented today. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.